5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? Sam here, United People's TV. Everybody knows it's 10:03. Well, you might not. You might be new in town. I'm not late. Oh, yeah, technically I'm late. Well, we have this conversation pretty much every day. Good morning to all of you. How are you all doing? Today's a good day. Today, we announced the winner of a pair of Club Wembley tickets for the final on Sunday. By far and away the biggest giveaway that we've done here on United People's TV. You've made that happen because they reached out to me because our community is wonderful. I can't wait to announce that. I'm going to announce that winner. Well, I'm going to do the live draw for that winner as soon as we hit 1,000 likes on this video. I thought I'd do that. Why not? Because then we can keep it for a little bit later in the stream. So as soon as we hit 1,000 likes, you can all let me know in the comments. I'll head over there and then we'll get it on the go. But today we're speaking from a slightly less positive perspective. We're speaking about the Glazers. Yes, we're speaking about the Glazers still. We are speaking about the sale of Manchester United and the fact that it doesn't really seem like they're going to go quietly, which might not be a surprise to anybody because it's the Glazers, right? I'm going to run through the latest from the Wall Street Journal, confirming that there are more than 2 bids that have gone in for the club. We've got 2 public bids. The Sheikh's bid with Qatar and, sorry, was it Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani? Man, I've really got to write that down on my wall or something there. I've got to write it there. We're going to speak through that bid. There's tons to run through. I know there's no point in me explaining all. It's going to be a nice long show. It's going to be an important show, and it's going to bring you bang up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, like I try to do every single day. And I think I say it most days. If I didn't do these shows, I'd have no ability to actually keep up with everything that goes on. Who's down here in the comments? Charlie, good morning to you. Gamer Beans, Kent, Julie, Vicky, I can see you there. John Moulton, how you doing, buddy? Alex, Daisy, we've got T, we've got Josh, we've got Ant, we've got Carl, and we've got Gungshi, as always. The regulars down here is on Facebook. We have got Richmond. How you doing, buddy? We've got Emmy. We've got Jackson. We've got David Carroll and John Moore. And there's lots and lots more of you. But good morning to every single one of you. So as I said, as soon as we hit 1,000 likes on this stream, and I don't think it's going to be very difficult considering what the giveaway is. As soon as we hit that, we'll get the live draw done here. It's going to be a good one. Now, obviously, one thing I want to say to kick off the show is thank you very much, everybody, for the support on the podcast. Anybody who's been listening to the podcast so far will definitely have noticed a difference in the quality. I'm really happy with that. It's sort of a level up of the podcast, if you want to call it that. It's something that I've been working towards. I'm quite proud of production quality. I think it's something that is really necessary. When it comes to anything you do online, do it as best as you possibly can. Not online, just in anything in life. So that was the first edition of it yesterday. It's going to be 2 a week. There'll be one out on Friday lunchtime, Monday lunchtime, and Friday lunchtime. And now the new podcast release dates, 2 a week instead of 1 a week. Big up to all of you. There's a couple of super chats there. Let me read these out before we dive straight into the show. And it's going to be an important show today. It really, really is. Vicky, you're saying nightmare. Glazers saw they made the Champions League and stayed. Please keep it as a nightmare. I mean, I hope it's going to be a nightmare, Vicky. I really, really do. But it's a nightmare that I suppose we've got to speak through this morning. Steve, you're saying, how much of an uproar would there be if the Glazers kept ownership? I can't imagine that things would stay peaceful. Now, Steve, I will run through all of this. One thing I would say there, Steve, because you said it, everybody needs to remain peaceful. When any protest that we continue to do, we have to remain peaceful, because if we don't, the narrative switches and it actually helps the Glazers rather than helping Manchester United. It's a big, important part of it. Man, look at Jesus down there. Vicky, you're down. You've just gifted. Vicky's gifted 10. Gungshi's gifted 10. And Eric, all 3 of you gifting 10. Man, love you all. As I said, I always keep reiterating, you're helping these sorts of giveaways happen. And today's a good one. Can't wait to do it a little bit later on. Let me start the show here by running through the important update coming from the American side of things, which I think is going to be the interesting angle from here on in. We know what the 2 public bids are. One that's a Qatari-based bid, and one that, of course, is Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS. They are the only 2 public bids so far, but there are more behind the scenes. Let's run through this article. Manchester United have started sifting through numerous bids for the club. And I said, this is from the Wall Street Journal, all right? 3 months after announcing they were open to selling, the Glazer family received a set of preliminary bids for Manchester United. Though 2 were made public by the bidders, several more offers poured in, both partial stakes in the club and to acquire the team outright. And this is, I believe, what we expected, right? Didn't we? We spoke through how many bids we were anticipating to go forward for Manchester United. We had the Qatari-based bid. I personally expected a Saudi-based bid to go through. That hasn't gone through. They've decided not to pursue that. I'm fine with that. We knew that INEOS was going to be coming in with Jim Ratcliffe. And we also knew that there was going to be Americans behind the scenes. Now, we know full well what one of those groups is. And that's the Elliott Group, a US hedge fund coming in. And there's a snippet in this article here, which I don't believe has been sort of spoken about yet, which actually makes the idea of the Elliott Group about 10 times more dangerous than it was before. And I'll run through that now. There's a super chat there. Let me not miss that. Jonathan, you're saying, love this community so much. Super. Mate, thank you very much, dude. Honestly, the amount of people that reach out to me, slide into my DMs, email me, it's great. I'm amazed that we've been able to do this, and we're only going to get bigger and better. And I've said it all along, like, Miles, big up to you working with me on the YouTube shorts. He was somebody who watched the channel, reached out to me. Now he's working with me. Now he's getting paid to help with the community. Callum, big up to you. Now helping with the podcast. He watched it. He reached out. Now we're working together. I think it's a really organic way of doing things. Not the easiest, but it does work out, and it just brings everyone from the community a little bit closer. Just want to say that. And there's more that there's lots of you that have reached out from a graphic design perspective and research perspective, tons of different things. But big up to all of you. Let's run through this little snippet here that I really don't personally like when it comes to the Elliott Group. And that's this bit here. All right, let me read this out. Another unusual factor in the bidding process has also emerged in the sale landscape. An American investment group, Elliott Management Corp, has declared itself willing to help anybody in the mix. Elliott, which had previously acquired AC Milan, has indicated to prospective bidders that it would consider financing a bid, but it has no plans to make its own offer for the team. Elliott isn't currently aligned with any particular bidder. That there is really quite a scary prospect, right? So the Elliott Group, we know that they've come in. What I didn't realize, and maybe this is, I'm going to try and find a bit more information out about this. But a suggestion here from the Wall Street Journal is that the Elliott Group, they're not putting themselves forward as one potential new buyer of Manchester United. The Elliott Group have come in and said to anybody else who's involved in the process, if you haven't got enough money, come to us. We'll just happily fund whatever you're going to do. That is a terrifying prospect, a very, very dangerous prospect. My video today at lunchtime is going to be really hyper-focusing on the Glazers, on everything inside this video, and on the Elliott Group itself. Because as much as I would love to say that the fight to get the Glazers out of the club is done, it really is at its most critical stage now. Because the goalposts keep moving, right? Up until the point where the Glazers said that Manchester United was, up for strategic investment alternatives. The fight at that point was to get the Glazers to consider selling the club. Now that's been done, that's been achieved, and now we're at this point now where we've got a Qatari bid, we've got a Jim Ratcliffe bid. It's at a different stage. Jonathan, you're still. This is obviously completely true. There will be massive, massive unrest. I'm going to try and speak to the 58. I want to try and get the lads back on a podcast because I think now more than ever we need to have this front and have this voice and understand what these next stages are. Because Manchester United share price has artificially gone up to just shy of 27. In fact, I think I've got it here. Let me pull this on screen here just to sort of visualize what's happened since the Glazers. Well, not just since the Glazers put Man United on up for sale. Since the Qatari bid came in. If we have a look here at 6 months, we can see there was a massive spike there when Manchester United were put up for sale, right? That's when the statement came out in November. And we can see here, I believe that was when the big spike came up after the Qatari interest. And that's when the bids went in. February 17th, that was 4 days ago, wasn't it? Artificially high at $26. If we go look at the actual value of Manchester United in the stock market, we can see full well the only time it was near there was, what was that? It was Solskjaer's summer, wasn't it? Was that the year he got appointed? I think he was. I think it was in May, roughly when it spiked up after PSG. I think that was it. I might be wrong. But you can see right now it's as high as it has ever been. I'm going to go down here and read a few of your comments out. Zim, you're saying probably the Elliott Group wants to be a co-owner of the new owner. Just exactly that. That's why they're dangerous. The Elliott Group would have absolutely no care about the success or the failure of Manchester United. They simply want to make a return on investment. They see an opportunity for a distressed asset that they can go in, put X amount into, and get X amount out of. It's purely a financial. That's the only reason they're involved. Nothing to do with any sort of sporting integrity or long-term visions. They would just finance somebody else to take over to try and make a quick buck on the side. And unfortunately, that might give the Glazers what they want. That might give the Glazers exactly what they're looking for. And that's where we're going to speak through Simon Stoney's article here. Simon Stone, not Stoney. Simon Stone's article from the BBC. All right, I'm going to read through this before we actually sort of all lose our shit in the comments. What we're on right now, we're on 400 likes so far. We need another 600 by the end of the stream, and I can get the draw done. I'm going to do the draw live for you here. Everybody who's put the name in the pot, it's going to be a big old live draw. It's going to be good. What is Gary, you're saying our downfall is our... I wouldn't say downfall is our progress, because realistically, the Glazers just got a figure in their head, which is probably unrealistic, right? It is unrealistic. They want in excess of like 6 billion in an ideal world. And if Manchester United were doing crap this season, they would still want that exact same amount. They would. Even if we weren't in the Champions League, they'd probably still want that same amount. Let me run through this article here from the BBC, and we can discuss it, right, as a community. Manchester United, why the Glazers might end up staying at Old Trafford. Okay, this is what you're saying. Man United have been the subject of intense debate over the last 3 days, since Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani and then INEOS came forward with their interest in buying the club. Sums of $4.5 billion have been mentioned as a potential sale price. It is not known whether other bidders have come forward, but according to the Wall Street Journal, as we can go back up here and see, 2 bids were made public. Several more came in behind the scenes. And I think I'd be very surprised if any of those bids that have not gone public are good bids, are bids that would genuinely benefit Manchester United. I imagine they're more versions of the Elliott Group. They're more versions of US investment funds or hedge funds, anybody just looking to make money out of Manchester United rather than any sort of sporting project. Because if they were, they would need a little bit of public support. And that's why the Qatari bid came out and went public. And that is why Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS came out and went public. So now that there's more bids gone in, it suits the Glazers a bit more. I'm not sure whether that helps Manchester United. Robert, as you're saying there, it's the quiet bidders that worry me. I agree with you. I don't think that there's going to be quiet bidders that are helpful for Manchester United. Alex, you're saying, Sam, if Elliott Group gets involved with Glazer via funding a minority share held by someone else, what would stop them taking dividends again? Mate, nothing would stop them doing anything. This is the issue. This is the scary part, which we're going to discuss now. It is thought the US-based Elliott Investment Manager are offering to put together an investment package that would allow the Glazers to retain some kind of interest. Let's read through what it says now. It is expected that there will be further discussions between the Rain Group and the Glazers. In the meantime, those who have made offers will get access to the data room. None of this is new information. Go away. Blah, 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 blah. This bit down here is interesting. Since the initial announcement last year, club sources have stressed that strategic alternatives did not mean a sale. We know exactly what Avram Glazer has been saying about that the whole way through. It's now been established that both Sheikh, Jassim, and INEOS, this is a really, really weird one, all right? I'm reading this. This is really, really odd. It has now been established both Sheikh Jassim and INEOS have received communication from the Rain Group asking them to stop making what they regard as vitriolic public statements, including terms such as returning United to its glory years, which they viewed as implied criticism of the Glazers. That there is mad, right? Just think about how mad that is there, right? First of all, you have been shit. The Glazers have been abysmal owners. Manchester United have not won the Premier League since 2012. We have not won the Champions League since 2008. That was 14 years ago. You absolutely have taken us into the ground. And the idea there that the Glazers' ego would be offended by that, it's a maddening concept. It really is a maddening concept. And also a worrying one, because as is sort of said here in the next paragraph, why would they really care if they were leaving? This has been interpreted by some as heightening the potential for the family to retain control. If they were leaving anyway, why would they care about what he said? While 6 Glazer siblings are listed as a director, it is being felt that co-chairman Joel and Avram were the pair with the greatest connection to United. We know that. Like, what is it? Kevin, Edward, Darcy, and Brian, I think, are the names of the other 4. I don't really actually know. BBC Sport has been told Joel Glazer has been one of the strongest voices to favour the club remaining at his current Old Trafford site. I don't give a shit. This is this one here. Because we've seen this statement. I think this statement's come out from a couple of sources. There's nothing vitriolic about this statement here, right? Let's bring this up. That one there. This, of course, is the statement from the bid. Plans to return the club to its former glories on and off the pitch. There's nothing but the truth in the statements of both INEOS and the Qatari. It's wild. And that's kind of the point that we're, I suppose, discussing here. Why would they give a toss what anybody... And bear in mind, by the way, this is a family that saw mass protests before they even took charge. This is a family who has remained in the shadows and not said a peep for 17 years. This is Joel Glazer. Open communications, he promised, after the European Super League. And we got absolutely sweet F.A. And now that they're being called out on that, they're offended by it. You should just be ashamed. But no, instead, it's about protecting. I don't like it, right? I do not like it at all. And I tell you what, I can't even now look at this and sort of celebrate. And I wish I could. I wish I could. I wish I could celebrate the fact that FSG have announced yesterday, was it John Henry, gave the interview and saying, no, look, we're not selling Liverpool. Not fully anyway. They're going to be looking for minor investment. And I said, look, it couldn't happen to a nicer club. Remember those Glazer masks that the Liverpool fans brought to Old Trafford on the bus? Yeah, that aged very, very well indeed. But I cannot. I feel like I jumped the gun last week when the reports came in about the size of the bid from Sheikh Jassim. And they were in the region of 5 billion. That was when the reports first emerged from Bloomberg. You remember that? Then that bid was going to be 5 billion. I'll run through a little bit of an update from the Athletic on what the murmurs are of the size of that bid. But maybe I jumped the gun a little bit in the idea that the Glazers are just completely gone. It still strikes me as, I mean, it's because I'm a practical person, right? I think from a logical perspective. I'm like, why in the world would the Glazers even consider holding on to Manchester United when there are offers for £4.5, £5 billion? And because of the sneaky way that you've set Manchester United up and we're registered in the Cayman Islands, you just get an absolute bucket load of tax-free money. So from as I said, from a logical, practical business perspective, I don't really understand what can someone try and you can give me your opinions on this, right? Honestly, why would the Glazers hold on to Manchester United? Now you might say to me, Sam, it's just to make more money, Sam. But I can't really look at it and think that they're going to make more money. I think we tried to do the maths the other day. If we're looking at dividends of what, 20, 30, it must be a prestige thing as well. It must be the fact that Manchester United opens up business conversations for them elsewhere. It must be partly a dick swinging exercise. It must be, because it can't just be. It can't just be from a money making perspective, because they're staring at a potential 4 to 5 billion payout, straight cash, straight money, done. Something doesn't match up. The idea of it just doesn't really make sense. Of course, John, this I imagine is part of it, right? This is all part of the negotiation tactics, in the same way that we wondered whether the Elliott Group coming in was a negotiation tactic. This may well be a negotiation tactic, just to make sure that the fear of God is there among United fans, and just so prospective bidders know, we're not definitely leaving, so you can't undercut us. It's never going to be easy, was it? It was never going to be easy. TW saying, look, they could just hold on to it for an ego. So part of me is semi-thinking that. It's all about the Glazers thinking they are the best family in the world and can't stand people. They must really genuinely have extremely fragile egos. Which is even more surprising, really, because if they really had that much of an ego, why wouldn't they have tried to protect their own image and actually, communicate with fans? It's like they want to have their cake and eat it. That you can't possibly offend me, but here's all the shit I've done wrong. And no, you're not allowed to speak about it. You're not allowed to speak about it. Even though it's all completely true, completely in the public eye. Can't speak about it. It offends me. Just really odd. Really, really odd. There was a super chat there from, what are you saying, mate? Because we're doing well now, they're probably banking the Super League returns. Remember, by the way, that the Premier League set rules after the Super League last time, so that if anybody, even though those 6 teams who went into Super League last time, if they went in again now, they get a straight £25 million fine and a 30.30 point deduction. At the very least. And I don't know whether the Premier League's going to do anything else on top of it. But this, I'll tell you what, this is something that's coming this week, which I think is going to play quite a pivotal role in what happens here with the sale of our club. And it's something that's been delayed by quite some time, and that's this. Premier League clubs fear independent regulator could put off foreign investors. This is the white paper, right? This is coming out on Thursday. This is something that has been in the works for some time. And what it is a independent regulator to come in and make sure that the ownership of Premier League clubs, that the ownership of clubs in English football is more regulated. This is happening on Thursday. It's going to be coming out with the support of Rishi Sunak, England's Prime Minister. Let's read a little bit of the article here. Premier League clubs fear the introduction of a government-appointed independent regulator could discourage future investment and weaken the top flight's position in European football. The government white paper on the creation of an independent regulator is due to be published on Thursday. As I said, it's going to be very interesting to watch this. With the support of Rishi Sunak, it is understood that he'll be involved in the launch. I wonder because if you remember, right, and I said this in my video yesterday, when I compared the 2 bids of the Qatari bid and the INEOS bid, and if you're looking at the angles of both of them, the angle here of the Qatari bid was all about restoring Manchester United to its former glory. Investment in stadium, in community, in infrastructure, in the teams, the vision, long-term vision, debt-free. They ticked all the boxes. From a fan's perspective, that bid there really ticked the boxes. And it was interesting that the INEOS bid went for something a little bit different. I called it legislative. We would see our role as the long-term custodians of Manchester United. We also recognize that football governance in this country is at a crossroads, and we want to help the next chapter. Talking about putting Manchester back in Man United. Genuinely, it sounded a bit Brexit, this statement. And that there is directly linked to this, which will be released on Thursday. It's just that we're at a massive, massive crossroads in sort of every aspect of ownership in England right now. The Saudi bid went through with Public Investment Fund and Newcastle. That took a little bit of time, but they got through. City happened previously. Chelsea happened previously. But right now, because of this independent regulator, it could change things. And we don't know. We don't know what's going to be written in this. And Ant is a very good point there that I have been thinking about myself. That may well be part of it. That may well be, because if you, as I said, from a PR perspective, these two bids and these two statements are coming from two very different angles. And maybe that's because INEOS knows something that's going to be coming out as part of this white paper. That's just, that there is just, that's not me speaking. And by the way, I saw someone commenting, before the stream went live saying, oh, Sam talks like he's got loads of inside info. At no point in my life have I ever tried to represent that I am in the know. I've never been that. I just read the news. I keep abreast of all the news from all the different sources, and I make my interpretation based off everything. I do have quite good instincts, I feel, anyway. Or maybe I don't. You can let me know in the comments. So I do have a pretty good interpretation of the news because I look at it every single day. But at no point have I ever said, I've got inside info. I've never done that. I never tried to leak a team. Never done anything shit like that. Sam, what's the 9-2 Foundation? The 9-2 Foundation is something that's been created as part of the Qatari bid as a completely brand new entity. That's where the funding for the bid for Manchester United would be funneled through if it went to that stage. Matthew Nolan is saying, what is the white paper? The white paper is going to be a government-released paper. You can call it paper. I suppose it's a white paper on the independent regulator. It's going to lay out, okay, these are the reasons why an independent regulator is needed in England. These are the problems that we see in the Premier League. These are our potential solutions. This is what we're proposing with an independent regulator. I'm guessing at that point when the white paper goes out, people can then respond. People can then say what they agree with, what they don't agree with, and it can eventually get to the point where something gets created. But it's needed, right? An independent regulator has been needed in the Premier League. Yeah, it has been needed for ownership of English football clubs for a long, long time. Robert Taylor, I imagine that's definitely going to be part of it. Because if you're looking at last year with the Public Investment Fund, was it last year? I think it's 2021. Public Investment Fund buying Saudi Arabia, and Mohammed bin Salman is the chairman of the Public Investment Fund. And they were like, never mind, there's separation. Cool. You passed the proper and fit owners test. Was in reality, it's like, well, the link is right there. It's one and two. Whereas, therefore, it's just that I agree that an independent regulator is needed. It just so happens that this is going to be coming at the exact same time when Manchester United is for sale, which definitely complicates things, which definitely gives maybe a little bit more leverage to the Glazers, maybe a little bit more leverage to INEOS. And as I said, if you're looking at the wording of these statements and the words that INEOS used, they came from a very different angle to Qatar. And it'll be interesting to see whether that plays out and who it plays out to support. Now, Ben Jacobs, who, of course, we brought on here for an interview. Thank you very much, Ben, for a couple of times. I've no doubt I'll be speaking to Ben again in the future as well. He was speaking about the wording of the bids. Qatari said it was 100% of Manchester United. INEOS said it was majority takeover. We now know that means that they want to buy all of the Glazers shares, 69%. However, and it's something I said yesterday, I'd be very surprised if that statement from the Qatari bid here, 100% of Manchester United, that either means that they worded that wrong and they're only just trying to buy 100% of the Glazers shares, or no, they want to buy 100% of Manchester United. And this update here from Matt Slater, a really good article on The Athletic, sort of explaining the history of Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad and his dad, HBJ, and their position in the Qatari sort of elite and the royal family situation, and how there is enough separation, and basically why Sheikh Jassim has been chosen as the man to lead this bid. And inside this article here, there's this important paragraph, right? The PR people he has appointed are not saying how much he has bid for the club, but the consensus is that it's in the region of £4.5 billion, and he can go higher if need be. He is proposing to buy out the majority owners, the Glazer family, as well as the publicly listed company's minority shareholders. Now, I think this is actually quite an important part of this, and I need to do some research into it. I might try and speak to Charles again, the attorney that I spoke to previously. He works with the Securities Commission out in USA. Because I want to know what rules are written into Manchester United shares. Because you know full well what happened with Twitter and with Elon Musk. Elon Musk put that bid forward. He then tried to pull it out. Twitter enforced it. He then had to buy, I think it was like, was it 40 odd billion? Something like that. I can't remember what it was. He bought Twitter. And Twitter went from a publicly listed company to private, off the stock market. Boom. That's what could happen to Manchester United if the Qatari bid was successful and they did buy 100% of Manchester United. That would mean that I don't know how many shares are available on the New York Stock Exchange, but it equates to 31% of the club. Now, of course, none of those shares have voting powers because of the way the Glazers have structured things. However, it does mean that they would need to be bought. And I want to try and look at the rules and regulations with regards to that as to how that happens. Are the shares bought with a clause that says that the Glazers can buy them back at any point for a fixed price, maybe above market value? I don't know. It's definitely an interesting part of it, though. It's something I'm going to have to do a bit of research into. There's a couple of, let me just read a few of your comments out down here before we move on. Bye, legit. Let me know where you're watching from, dude. I'll try and give you a shout out. Rahman is saying, look, it was a very, as I said, I called the Qatari statement an extremely clever, smart, and well thought out statement. They ticked all the boxes that fans wanted to hear. Selling now is the maximum money the Glazers can ever make for United. I can't see them staying. They're too greedy. If Manchester United finish inside the top four this year, if Manchester United win a domestic trophy, hell, if Manchester United somehow sneak into a title push come the beginning of April, who's to say that the value of United wouldn't go up then? And again, these might be conversations that the Glazers are happening. And it might lead back to what some of you were saying down there about maybe it's a bad time for Manchester United to actually, have our shit in order. I don't think it's necessarily a bad time. What we're looking at now we've got 600 likes. We need another 400. Maybe I was a little bit overzealous when I said 1,000 because normally we'd be able to reach that. I think we've reached it like 2 or 3 times, but I thought with this giveaway, I thought people would definitely slam it in. But 400 more likes and we can get it done. Alex, thank you very much, dude. You gifted 5 memberships. Olivia there with a cool comment now. I'm going to read this one out. So I love your investigation reporting style. Thank you very much. I enjoy doing it. I really do. I enjoy bringing it to you because, as I said, it's really hard to get your head around. There's just so much information from so many different sources, 2 or 3 or 4 times a day. So to keep on top of it all, it's quite exhausting. It really is. Bully, I think, by the way, Bully, I think you've messaged it like 6 times now. Like, the entry's done. I'm going to be announcing the winners. The entry was open from Friday. There was 3 or 4 days for everybody to go into the pot. If you're not in it, unfortunately, my friend, you can't go in it now. The draw is done. Where is Phil? Is it Phil Jones's birthday today? I think I saw that. My God. Phil Jones. Phil Jones, let's not speak about him. But yeah, £4.5 billion. The interesting part of this, of course, again, is something that we at this point, we don't have the insight into this. But if we're saying that it's 4.5 billion from the Sheikh Jassim bid with Qatari, and that's for 100% of the club, that's going to involve buying out the 31% of the shares that are available on the New York Stock Exchange. Does that mean that the bid from INEOS would actually be worth a little bit more right now? Because we're hearing, I don't actually know. We don't know. We have no idea what the actual bids are, and I don't think we will. And I believe the first time that we will have that real confirmation is when when the Glazers choose, hypothetically, right? The Glazers choose one of the bids. They have to announce that to the New York Stock Exchange. And at that point, we will know what the value of Manchester United is, because that's something they legally have to do. There's rules and regulations that they are held to. Phil Jones is 31 today. Dude, that's so sad. Man, do you remember when he was brought in? Fergie called him like the new Duncan Edwards, I think. Signing from Blackburn. He was great. He was mint. Never mind. Sad. Go over here. A golf source. Look, this is a very interesting point. I wouldn't necessarily see this as a Qatari bid. Sheikh Jassim doesn't hold any government positions. Much of his fortune is based on his father's wealth, which is thought to run into the billions and further enhanced with his involvement in the Qatari bank and other ventures. Now, I don't think I would struggle to separate Sheikh Jassim's bid from being linked with Qatar, simply because of how my interpretation may be wrong in this, but I would, the way that the ruling system is out there, you can't have billions and billions and billions and not be on the radar of the Emir, and maybe not be under at least some sort of influence from the Emir. And if this bid has gone through, which it has, and the bid's been made, it would have been done with the blessing of the Emir. So as much as we would love to completely and utterly separate it and say, oh, it's got nothing to do with that, there are, of course, still links. But from a legal perspective, from UEFA's rules and regulations perspective, there would be enough separation for that to go through. And it's, and again, this whole article, fantastic article from Matt Slater, talks about Red Bull, talks about Red Bull Leipzig and Red Bull Salzburg and everything that went on behind the scenes there. It might be slightly boring, but these are the conversations that are happening behind the scenes right now. We all asking what's happening next. It's these sorts of things that are happening. I'm going to read a few of your comments down here. Alex saying, isn't Jones on 100? I don't know how much Jones is on. Whatever Jones is on, he has been robbing a living for a good while. Maybe that's a little bit unfair. Yeah, but not really. Not really. Shane, you're saying rise up and make our voices heard. And look, this is, I really want to have a conversation with the 58. Hopefully sooner rather than later, if they'd be willing to speak to me again. Because I don't know what the next stage is, right? As much as if we look here, right, and the share price is artificially high. I'm not saying that the United fans could completely and utterly crash that share price, but we could certainly have an impact on it. We could change. I imagine there has to be more protests, right? Because those protests had an impact. Whether you want to admit it or not, those protests had an impact. They did. And at this point where we're hearing, as I said, from the Wall Street Journal there, that the Elliott Group are just sitting there and willing to offer money to anybody who asks for it. Now, you haven't got enough money to buy United? Come forward. We'll give you whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. We just want to be involved. We don't want to do anything. We just want to sit in the background and earn off the back of it. But there are multiple bids that have gone on behind the scenes. And maybe at some point, maybe these bids are going to come forward. I don't really see why, or I don't know why they would at this point. And I don't personally, I think there was a few comments down there. I don't see how any behind the scenes bid would be a good thing. The Qatari bid came forward with that statement because they want to try and gain public support of United fans. INEOS did the same thing. Which one was more successful? You can leave that to your own interpretation. Anybody who behind the scenes is just lurking in the shadows as some sort of angel investor, they're not there to return the sporting integrity of Manchester United, to put football club back on the badge, to invest in the communities, to invest in the areas, and to invest in the women's team as much as the men's team. They're not there to do that. They're just in the background, hoping to turn X amount of million and double it. Scary prospect. Gypsy King, if you're talking about, look, you can go over here and we speak about independent regulators. I mean, you're going into a much wider conversation about how businesses can and can't be structured inside the UK, which goes way bigger than the Premier League, way bigger than England. And the reality is if you start telling rich people that they can't do it, they're just going to take it elsewhere. I think that's been a big issue with the city of London, isn't it? Quite a lot have been moving out because of regulations that have been putting on them and restrictions on taxation. Oh, sod knows that you are getting into a much, much, much bigger conversation there. As I said, Robert, you're right down there. Quiet bidders raise alarms. They do raise alarms. Does that mean the idea of 50 plus 1? Oh, geez. It is an idea we should no longer nurse. I'll tell you what, T, if we're looking at a Qatari bid, there's no chance of 50 plus 1 inside that, is there? I don't think there is. Why would... I mean, did they mention anything about fan? I think they mentioned fan representation, didn't they? Fan experience. No, nothing about fan representation. Oh, yeah. We'll seek to place fans at the heart of Manchester United Football Club once more. What did the INEOS statement say? Let's have a look. Custodians of Manchester United on behalf of the fans. Nothing in particular linked to fan representation. I don't really see how full takeovers would therefore lead to fan representation, if I'm being completely honest. But again, just like I'm being accused of, that's my opinion on it. Sam, can't the UK government force the Glazers to sell that? No, dude. They are two very, very differently linked things. Whether or not the Glazers are bad businessmen or not, because of the rules and the way things operate in this country, they technically didn't do anything illegal at that point. Now, you might not, you can't buy... I'm saying that. I think it happened to Burnley, maybe on a smaller scale. I don't think you can buy a Premier League club now on a leveraged buyout in the same way that the Glazers did. Leveraged buyout means Man United was worth 750 mil. They only had 250, so they loaned a ton and they rested it against assets. Now, something I actually saw yesterday being questioned and asked, and I thought this was kind of a fair point, right? The INEOS statement. Okay, we know full well that part of their bid is going to involve Goldman Sachs funding and debt refinancing. They're going to give INEOS a big old loan to pay off all of Manchester United's debt. You have to wonder what they would... basically, if you're going to be doing that on that scale, you have to put assets up just in case something goes wrong and you can't repay the loan. When the Glazers did that, they put all their malls, I think they had loads of malls in America. They put those as collateral. So if the Glazers couldn't pay up, the bank could just take all of these malls away from the Glazers and they would get their money back. You have to wonder what INEOS would use as that collateral. Would they use Manchester United? I don't think they'd be allowed to use Manchester United. You presume they wouldn't be allowed to use Manchester United. But these, again, are just conversations that I don't think any of us want to have. Ooh, where's the collateral for this debt going? It's like, fucking hell, man. Don't want to have these anymore. INEOS will use Nice as their collateral. They're going to have to use something to get a loan of that size. And that doesn't even take into effect that they're probably going to take an even bigger loan out to fund the stadium. It's a lot of collateral that they would have to do. If it's going to be 800 million to pay off all of our debt, and it would then be in excess probably of 1 billion to build a new stadium, that's nearly 2 billion worth of collateral that they would have to put up. It's a lot. And again, we have no idea where this is going to come from. So I'm not going to make any assumptions here. People saying down there they could put it against INEOS, they could put it against a cycling, they could put it against plenty of things. But there has to be collateral. If they're taking that debt, there has to be something that balances the scale so the bank could take that if it all goes to pot. And we don't know what that collateral is. And again, we need to know that information as to whether or not we can support any sort of bid from INEOS. There's questions about all of the bids, and I did that yesterday. I spoke about that yesterday in quite a lot of detail. How many likes are we on so far? We're on 785. We only need another 200 more, and we can get this draw done. I'm sitting here. I've got the wheel of names. That's what it is. The wheel of names. Everybody's draw entry is on here, and we're going to be doing a live draw here on United People's TV for the winner of the 2 Club Wembley tickets. It's the best giveaway we've done on the channel. I'm looking forward to doing it. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Do you reckon Sir Jim could get United and put Nice up for sale? Of course, Ben, everything's a possibility. And in the same way that we all question whether Qatar can create that separation between PSG and any bid for Manchester United, Jim would have to do the exact same thing with Nice and Lausanne, 2 clubs that he already owns in Europe. What are you saying down here? Murdoch is quiet, as if anyone's mentioning Murdoch. Anyone old enough to remember Sky tried to buy Manchester United back in the day before the Glazers? People saying down there, look, INEOS could put up part of. I mean, it depends how much of INEOS Jim Ratcliffe owns, I suppose. Or does it? Because they, I imagine, have different shareholders that would have to agree to part of INEOS being put up as potential collateral. It's just complicated. It's very, very, very complicated. It really, really is. What are you saying down there? Look, I know full well that INEOS have got a lot of revenue. I've ran through their profit and their losses and their revenues. They are a big old company. No one's saying that. But they absolutely are going to be planning on taking out loans in the region of 800 billion. Could be all the way up above 2 billion, depending on how they're going to be funding a new stadium as well. Lucky Phil. Let's hope you're lucky, man, my friend. How many? We're 834. Hey, look, sorry. I'll do it when we get to 900 because it feels like I'm begging now. I thought we'd reach 1,000 easy, and we haven't. And now all of a sudden I have to keep mentioning it. It's a bit weird. Things are never straightforward. No, they never are really with Manchester United, are they? They never are with the Glazers. What else we got on screen here? Honestly, this. I get a feeling this really is going to be an important moment this week. Obviously, Thursday we've got the game against Barca. Jeez, can't wait for that. But it feels like this could have a bit of an impact. This feels like this could have a bit of an impact on the sale of Manchester United. Jonathan, you're saying, look, INEOS, I don't know. I'd be very surprised if INEOS, if you're a shareholder of INEOS, goes, all right, lads, you know, our petrochemicals company is going really well. We've got 60 billion. Just wanted to let you know, I've put 2 billion of us up as collateral just in case the United situation goes to pot. You're right with that. I'd be very surprised. I genuinely be very, and I'm laughing when I'm saying that, but I would be very surprised. So that is a very important part to think about with this whole INEOS bid. If they're going to be getting these loans out, what's going against that? What they're putting up, just in case it doesn't work out. Alex is saying, when are we talking about the Barca game? That's tomorrow. That will be tomorrow. And of course, that will be on Thursday too. But look, sod this. Let's just get this. Let's get the draw up on screen now. Now, let me just tell you a little bit before I pull this up on screen. There were just under 3,000 entries for this competition. Blown away by that. I mean, it is a cracking prize. I'll be completely honest. And what I'll say now, before I pull this up on screen and before I pull the winner out, a couple of things. Number one, good luck to everyone. Number two, I'll be getting in contact with the person who wins this straight after. And you've got 24 hours to get back to me and to prove to me that you can go to the game. If you can't do that, I will do another draw. I might do it online, might not do it online. I probably won't do it live because I won't have time. I'll have to do another draw, and I'm going to contact that person because the tickets are getting sent out tomorrow. All right. The game is on Sunday. The tickets are going out tomorrow. So if you can't prove to me you can get to the game, you won't be winning the tickets. I said that straight away. All right. So let's build this bad boy up. As I said here, don't worry about any names that are on the right-hand side. They're just some of the names. There are, as I said, quite a few names on this list, just shy of 3,000. And I am going to be doing this live and direct here. So you ready for this? Let's see who wins. These are all the names of everyone who have entered. And the winner, this is completely random, by the way. I don't choose this. Ross Chin. There's a little round of applause, which you can't actually hear, by the way. There's a little round of applause going on. But Ross Chin, congratulations, sir. You have won 2 Club Wembley tickets to see United against Newcastle on Sunday, right? I've got your email, and I'm going to be reaching out to you, Ross, all right? It's free via email. If you can't go to the game, what I'm going to be doing is doing this again, and I'm going to be contacting that person. The winner will be chosen by the latest tomorrow. But Ross, if it's you, congratulations. And to everyone who entered, thank you very much. Honestly, this is the biggest giveaway that we've done here on United People's TV, and I hope we're able to do more of it in the future. You're helping this community grow to the size it is, and look at that. We're just giving away 2 club. I have no idea how much they're worth, but they are worth ridiculously big amounts of money. Imagine I was that good. If I was that good, I'd probably be like counting cards in casinos, old school style. If I could rig a draw that had 3,000 entrants, you can see all the names on that list. You can't even see the names. There's so many names. That'd be quite funny. No club colors allowed. Remember that. You're not going to get in with a shirt on. But thank you very much, everybody who entered. Alex. They're worth a bit more than that. That I can confirm. But look, thank you, everyone who entered. Thank you, everyone who joined in today. Ross Chin, I'll get in contact with you. I've got your email. If you can't go, I might be contacting you. Just keep an eye on your email if you're involved. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, who joined in today on the show. The video that's going out at lunchtime today, it won't be the most enjoyable video that I ever do, but it's a video I've absolutely got to do. We have to remember that this fight against the Glazers is not over. Everything that's developing since the bid's gone through, we have to make sure we keep this energy up. If any protests happen, keep them peaceful. As soon as the protest becomes unpeaceful, you watch how the news cover it. It will not help Manchester United. It will not help us. It will help the Glazers more than anything. They'll all of a sudden become the victims. So make sure you keep anything that we do peaceful. But thank you, everyone, for joining in. Ross, congratulations to you, sir. I'm going to reach out to you. If you can go to the game, the tickets are yours. If not, I'm going to be contacting someone else. But big up to everyone who joined in today. Apologize, I was kind of begging for likes. It was a bit weird towards the end. I thought we'd reach 1,000 easy. That's why I just said 1,000. But maybe I'll do it lower next time. But big up to everyone. Big up to the community. I'll be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I'll be here at lunchtime, as always.